Hello and welcome to Clipping In. It's Monday, the 16th of June. I'm almost at the head of Shibdon Vale. Stunning views, eh? The weather looks set fair for the rest of the day. This landscape never disappoints. We've got hills, we've got views for miles, a little bit of history sprinkled in, and hopefully we'll avoid incarceration. Approaching Queensbury, one of the surviving mills up there on the hill. Highest point of Queensbury is about 1,200 feet. That'll be appropriately named mountain. Get a different, completely different climate. There's a microclimate for this place. So I'm making my way past the school, up Deanstones Lane, get to the high point of this circuit. I'm going to start with a circuit that featured about maybe 2 years ago. I call it the Shibdon circuit. There's a nice little lap both sides of the lovely Shibdon Vale. Mixture of all kinds of terrain, really. It's got everything except flat pedalling. Not a place to ride if you're an average speed fanatic. It's a little area called Catherine Slack, which lies between Queensbury and Halifax. And to the left, tucked away, as I think it's called Upper Shibdon Hall, 18th come 19th century. And that little house there on the left was the sort of porter's lodge. Now as I drop down here, an amazing view should open up. I'll just be careful with this post van. Yeah, okay. On the left you can see a cobbled apron. That's the top of the famous Shibdon Wall cobbled hill. Dry ski slope. Halifax town on the right, and then the Pennines. Oh yes, the glorious Pennines. There they are. Now there's a view. I think it sums up this area quite well in that you've got these urban concentrations, but you escape from them so rapidly onto these gritstone hills. Just a little section of A road now. Doesn't last long. we're passing the entrance to Shibdon Hall, which is at a second lease of fame thanks to the Gentleman Jack series on BBC. A semi-fictional account, I think, of Anne Lister. At some point I'll have to do a full video on sites in and around Halifax associated with Anne Lister, but not today. We're going to turn left, roughly where that standing traffic is. Back to the climbing. Kell Lane. Gives you an idea here, even though the GoPro will flatten things out, it's quite a pull. You can see how that primary school up there, how built up the walls are from road level. Shibdon Vale now on our left. Still it climbs. Getting to more of those retaining walls now. Typical of this area. You can see there, look on the right. What I was saying earlier about you can get into country lanes so quickly. I mean, by way of example, I've ridden 12 miles from home, and I've got, you know, a ride out one circuit of Shibdon in. Incredible in 12 miles. The other day, the last video I did, Home Moss, the hard way. I rode out from home to Home Firth, from my home to Home Firth, up Home Moss, north side, descended to Woodhead, turned round, did the southwest face of Home Moss, and at the top, I'd ridden 26 miles with all that adventure. Just brilliant. Just taking a different way now off Deanstones Lane. Look at the expanse of views. The Pennines just arcing round there. So I'm on Roper Lane now, heading in the direction of the old Raggles Inn. But if you can see the street name on the right, Ladysmith Road. And the next street, Cape of Good Hope. I always wondered about the origins of those names. If there's some connection to the Boer War, 1900, 1901 sort of time. If anyone knows, pitch in. Got to stop here on Roper Lane. I hope the corrugated iron blowing in the wind is not too intrusive. That's the direction of the Raggles Inn, and then we start to pan. Soil Hill, the houses there going up Soil Hill. You can see a white car going up Bradshaw Hill, and that little cluster of buildings there used to be, I think it was called the White Castle Brewery. I don't remember it as an active brewery. I think it probably closed in the 70s or early 80s. Soil Hill itself, that main street going down through Bradshaw, And then we're looking across to Ovenden Moor Wind Farm. Ogden Water's tucked in there too. The old Top Withens on the skyline, super prominent. Continuing to pan. And if we're lucky and you're in 4K on a large screen, you can see Studley Pike. Wowee. And still it goes on. Staggering, isn't it? That's looking in the direction of Halifax. And the High Pennines, the backbone of England. White Castle Court, says the sign. I think it was called Fielding's Brewery. Now here, we're still in Bradshaw Village, the Golden Fleece, and on the side it says a Daniel Fielding and Sons pub, White Castle Brewery. It's nice that they've kept that going. Now I'm just outside Illingworth, and those new houses there on the corner, used to be a pub there called the Talbot. And behind you can see a former church. I think that's private houses now. I'm going to put a photo up from the cover of a 1907 OS reissue from Godfrey Maps. And the surprising thing, if you look carefully at the surface, you see tram lines in the road, meaning that this hill that I'm climbing now had to be negotiated by trams. I'm not sure what gradient it is, but it's a fair old pull. Now, a quick stop here. This is Illingworth Gaol. This building, erected 1825, but the stocks, which unfortunately are hidden by nettles next to my bike there, they date back to the late 17th century. I read somewhere that the site was auctioned off last year because Calderdale Council have owned it for a long time and it's been falling into disrepair. And I don't know about preservation order or anything else, but there's a real bit of history. Looking at the OS map from 1907 that I mentioned, you can see how empty this area was. So I'm not quite sure who was banged up in here in the 19th century. Who couldn't be taken down to Halifax, but does make you wonder. So getting back to the trams, I know that in Bradford, being quite a hilly place, they favoured trolley buses, which are almost like a bus. It's electric powered from overheads because the friction afforded by rubber tyres is better than using rails. But yeah, that strikes me as quite a gradient. And again, thanks to the essay that's included on the Godfrey Maps, it gives you a nice bit of history behind the growth of that tramway, which eventually branched out towards Causeway Foot. Now, I'm not sure where the tram terminus was, but the essay said Causeway Foot, and I know that just maybe 100 yards on the left is the Causeway Foot Inn. and the entrance to Ogden Water that I use. And supposedly, in those industrial times, it was a popular day trip and bank holiday leisure destination. People would hop on a tram out of industrial Halifax and come out to Causeway foot. When you read things like that, how now we take for granted that we can come out to Ogden Water for a lunch break or something, whereas, you know, back then it was an event. I suppose coming out to Causeway foot would be similar to Leeds people used to go out to Golden Acre Park, which is halfway between Leeds and Ockley. And people used to get in their Sunday best and head out to Golden Acre Park. Superb ride, superb weather, lots of climbing, compact and bijou. Well, a backyard adventure. Now that's been a really good little outing, a little bit of everything, I think, just as promised at the beginning. That's all for this edition of Clipping In. See you very soon back out on the Yorkshire roads. Bye bye.